He left with nothing but his mother's prayers and a name he was told to be proud of. His uncle promised her, "Send Emeka to me in Lagos. I will put him in school. I will make him somebody." His mother believed it. She had to. She was a widow with crocked heels and a cough that never fully left. She had nothing else to offer her only son. So she packed his things into a black polythene bag, one pair of trousers, 2 shirts, a small tin of Vaseline, and a photograph. The photograph was of his father, taken before the accident, before everything changed. "Guard this," she said, pressing it into his palm, "so you don't forget who you belong to." Emeka was 13 years old the morning the bus took him away from Enugu. He did not know that the promise his uncle made would cost him 3 years of his life. Stay with me. This story is not easy, but it is true in the way that matters most, because somewhere, right now, a boy just like Emeka is carrying the same silence. Listen carefully. Uncle Bartholomew's house was big by any standard Emeka had ever known. 2 floors, a generator, a gate with a padlock, a woman, Auntie Chisum, who wore her hair in tight rollers every morning and smelled of powder and irritation. The first night, Emeka slept on a thin foam mattress in a room beside the kitchen. The room had no window, only a small bulb that flickered when the generator surged. He told himself it was temporary. Uncle said school. School starts Monday. He held on to that thought like a coin in a tight fist. Monday came. Uncle Bartholomew's children, Tobena, who was 12, and little Adaeze, who was 9, wore their uniforms and ate their eggs and left for school with their school bags swinging. Emeka stood in the kitchen doorway watching them go. Auntie Chisum appeared behind him. She handed him a broom. "The parlor won't sweep itself," she said. He turned slowly. "Auntie, what about—" "Sweep first, then come and wash the plates." He wanted to ask again. He wanted to say, "Uncle promised my mother," but Auntie Chisum had already turned away, her slippers slapping against the tiles. Emeka looked at the broom in his hand. He swept. The days became a chain. Wake at 5, boil water, set the table, fry akara if Auntie Chisum wanted akara, clean the bathroom, scrub the compound, wash the car, iron the children's uniforms, serve lunch, fetch from the market, mop the floors, cook dinner, wash up, sleep. Repeat. Tobena, who was barely a year younger than Emeka, sometimes watched him from the sofa while eating biscuits. He never offered any. He never spoke directly to Emeka either, except to complain. "Emeka, this floor is still wet. Emeka, I need my blue shirt for tomorrow. Emeka, why is the remote not working?" Emeka answered quietly, always quietly. He had learned quickly that silence was his safest language in this house. At night, he would lie on his thin foam mattress and think of Enugu. He would think of his mother bending over her little provisions table in the market, selling cube sugar and Maggi and sachet water. He would think of how she smiled when she told the neighbors, "My son is in Lagos. My brother-in-law is training him. He will be a big man." He did not call her often. When he did, he said, "I am fine, Mama. School is going well." He said this while staring at a wall with no window, because to tell her the truth would break something in her that could not be repaired. It was during his second year in the house that Emeka discovered something he was not supposed to see. He had been sent to Uncle Bartholomew's home office to dust the shelves. It was a room he was rarely allowed inside. The door was usually locked. That afternoon, it had been left open by accident. He dusted carefully, quietly, afraid to breathe too loudly. Then his cloth caught the edge with thick brown file and knocked it to the floor. He picked it up quickly, but as he lifted it, pages fanned open. He saw numbers, he saw names. He was 13 when he arrived. Now he was 15, and 2 years of sleeping beside a kitchen and watching other children carry school bags had taught him how to read carefully. The file was a ledger, not a business ledger, a record of children. Names, ages, villages they came from, amounts paid to their families, durations of service. Emeka's name was in there. Emeka O, age 13, source Enugu, payment to family 40,000 naira, duration 3 years. He read it again and again, payment to family. His mother had been paid, not as a school fee, as a transaction. He was not a student who had been given an opportunity. He was a child who had been purchased for labor. His hands trembled, the pages blurred. He put the file back exactly where it was. He finished dusting, he left the room, he went back to the kitchen and washed the afternoon dishes without making a sound. But something in him had changed permanently. The silence he carried was no longer just sadness, it was now evidence. Emeka became careful in a new way. He watched, he listened, he remembered. He noticed that Uncle Bartholomew received visitors sometimes on Saturday evenings, men in big cars, men who gave envelopes and received handshakes and left before dark. He noticed that Auntie Chisum dismissed him from the parlor before these men arrived. He noticed that the neighbor's gate girl, a thin, quiet Anambra girl named Ogu, also never went to school. One afternoon at the borehole, he caught her eye. "How long have you been here?" he asked quietly. She looked around before answering. 2 years. You? 2 years, 3 months. She nodded, as though she understood everything from just those numbers. "My father said I was going to learn catering," she said softly. Emeka said nothing. He understood. There was no catering, there was no school. There was only the house, the broom, the invisible uniform they wore every day, the uniform of a child who had been told to be grateful for their own exploitation. "Do you have anyone you can call?" he asked her. Ogu looked away. "My uncle brought me here himself." They stood in silence for a moment. The water from the borehole made a sound like time passing. "There must be a way," Emeka said. He didn't know what that way was yet, but he started paying attention to things that could help him find it. His rescue came from an unexpected direction. A new family moved into the house 3 compounds down. The man was a teacher, Mr. Adeyemi, who taught secondary school English. His wife ran a small reading group for children in the neighborhood on Saturday mornings. Mrs. Adeyemi noticed Emeka one Saturday when he was sent to buy tomatoes from the roadside seller near their compound. "Young man," she said, "how old are you?" 15, Ma. She studied his face for a moment, the way adults sometimes look at children they are trying to understand. "Do you read?" she asked. "Yes, Ma." "What are you reading now?" He hesitated. "Nothing, Ma. I don't have books." She disappeared inside and came back with a worn copy of Things Fall Apart and a newspaper from that week. "Take them," she said. "Bring them back when you finish." He nearly said he wasn't allowed to receive things from strangers. He nearly said Auntie Chisum would ask questions, but something stopped him, something stubborn and hungry deep inside his chest. He took the books. He hid them under his foam mattress. He read by the light of the flickering bulb long after the house had gone quiet. He read slowly at first, then faster. He read until his eyes burned. He started visiting Mrs. Adeyemi's reading group on Saturday mornings on the excuse of running errands in that direction. She never asked him why he wasn't in school, but she started giving him past WAEC questions to work through. She corrected his English. She gave him mathematics exercises in a notebook. "You are sharp," she told him one Saturday, looking at his work. "Whoever is keeping you from a classroom is wasting a mind." He didn't tell her the full story yet, but she saw enough.